You are in the process of searching for a job for yourself. You have a passion for teaching and you think that you want to become an assistant professor in India. In today's video, I will cover what are the different things that you need to keep in mind and where exactly you should apply. Okay, what would be the eligibility? What is the qualification that you need to have? I will also speak about the latest updates from UGC regarding this, and that will help you to make a decision about how you should prepare for this particular post. How do you find vacancies? Where exactly do you look for vacancies? Whether it is official websites or whether it is different portals. Are there any specific websites that I would want to recommend? Also, what would be the salary? I will break down the entire salary structure for you and you will get to know for yourself. You will be able to calculate other salary also once this video is done. I will also tell you about interview preparation guide and what is the selection strategy. Okay, there are several points and based on that your selection is done. So if you don't know about this and you do not put these points in your resume or CV and are not expressing it in the interview, you will not be selected. So without further ado, let's begin. For those who are not aware of what assistant professor is, so assistant professor, it is the starting post of your teaching journey at higher level. When I say higher level, it is UG, PG, and then from there the designations will increase. The advantages of being an assistant professor, you get to teach at higher levels of college. So not just teaching, you will also get entry into research. Okay, so there are several schemes by government which are catered specifically to academics who are doing research. So if you want funding or if you have any kind of collaboration, then you will not have any issue getting funding or money as long as your project is good. Okay, so when I say assistant professor, it is your entry point into the world of academia, and from there things are only getting better. In earlier times, there were several posts like lecturer was there, reader is there. Since the 7th pay commission, there are 3 posts for assistant professor. Okay, when I say 3 posts, I should be correctly saying 3 designations: assistant professor, associate professor, and professor. Throughout this video, what I would be referring to would be an assistant professor because that is the entry point. However, the qualifications required for professor, associate professor and assistant professor is not very much different, and the difference lies in experience. Okay, so there are different grades in assistant professor also. There is grade 1, grade 2, and like that for associate professor as well as for professor level. Further in this video, we will speak about all the things, but at this point, just remember that in this video, I will be referring to professor as assistant professor. Okay, unless I've specified it separately. Moving on to the types of employment. You must have seen different vacancies being floated, whether it is contract, ad hoc, guest. What are the exact meaning for that? First things first, ad hoc. The literal meaning of ad hoc is for this situation. Okay, so typically if a post is advertised under the banner of ad hoc, it will be typically for 120 days. Okay, it is a really short duration notice. However, after 120 days, there is a possibility of renewing it again. Do you understand? So it's a shorter duration and it is for a specific period. The next type of category is guest or lecture basis. Now let's speak about guest first. When you have some post under the banner of guest faculty, so usually whenever there are colleges or whenever you have at UG level or at PG level, when you have a guest faculty, meaning the person is renowned in that field, but he may or may not be part of academia. Okay, like say suppose for undergrad there is a course going on sanitation technology. Okay, and the faculty who are teaching there, they want to invite somebody who has actually worked in the field of wastewater management. So in that case, that person, whether it is faculty or whether that person is working in an industry, it doesn't matter. For this particular post, it would be called as guest faculty, and the duration would be typically for that lecture only. Okay, so that is the difference. Lecture basis is a kind of post where you serve a particular lectures. Okay, so where I was working earlier, some teachers used to work maybe for 1 hour or for 2 hours in a day, and this could go on for a year or for a specific duration. Okay, usually it is for a specific duration. So that is called as a lecture basis post. The next kind of category is contract. Contract meaning it is specifically for a specific duration. Okay, it could be 1 year, it could be 6 months, it could be 3 months, depends on the kind of post is there, it depends on the kind of subject it is. Some subjects will typically have just contract basis post. Okay, some subjects will have contract as well as permanent. So it really depends on from situation to situation. Now, one thing to note over here is, even if the contract gets renewed every year, like say suppose in this 2024 that I'm filming this, you have got a contract post and maybe you are sure for some reason that it will get renewed. Even then, contract has a fixed pay of salary. Okay, there is no DNS allowance, there are no other travel allowance and all which are given in permanent post over here. Okay, so even if you are able to sustain a contract post on renewal basis for several years, it is best that you look for some permanent position and move your efforts towards that direction. The next position that everyone craves for is a permanent position. Okay, so permanent position is nothing but it's just like any other teaching position. The fact over here is, as far as your salary is concerned, you will be given full allowance from state allowance. If there are any allowance given from central universities, all that you will be given. You will be a permanent member of that institute with respect to employment, I'm saying. If there are any activities going on and few things are going on in the college, extracurricular, then you will be expected to participate and contribute in these things. Also, usually if it is a contract position, the previous one that we spoke about, once the contract ends, there is no obligation for you to work in holidays or anything. Once you are a permanent position, once you are a permanent faculty of that institute or university, whether it is state or central university, in that case you will be expected to work and you will be expected to contribute even during holidays. Okay, so basically your salary is more, the work is more, you are the permanent member of the institute or university or college, whichever is applicable, and that is how the things roll. Now, where exactly you should be applying? There are central universities, state universities, deemed to be universities, private universities, autonomous colleges. There are so many options nowadays that sometimes you tend to get confused, and I'm here to remove all your confusion. So let's move ahead with the first one, central universities. What is the meaning and what all difference can it make to your life? So central universities are established. When they were established, it was under the Act of Parliament and it comes under direct control of Ministry of Human Resource Development. One of the example is Central University of Punjab. It is a central university. Just because in Punjab does not mean it is a state university. So what is the difference over here? You can conduct your own admission process. You can decide your own syllabus. You can conduct your own exams and you can conduct and grant degrees to students. Okay, when I say that grant degrees to students, wherever you study, you will be getting the degree. But from where it is, we'll come to the autonomous colleges later and the difference will become more clear. You can give your own degree. That means Central University of Punjab, this name would be there on the certificate. Okay, the qualifying certificate. That is what I meant. Let's move on to state universities. State universities are funded and run by the state government. The central government has no control over it, and they are established by local legislative assembly act. You can conduct your own admission process. You can grant degrees to students. You can also decide your own syllabus. One example of this would be Goa University. Okay, I'm from Goa. The university over here is Goa University, and that is a state-run university. Then what are deemed to be universities? Deemed to be universities is a status of autonomy. That means they can conduct everything on their own and they don't have to take any permission or any kind of grant from upper heads. Okay, where I'm doing PhD now, BITS Goa, that is a deemed to be university. You can decide your syllabus, you can conduct your own admission process, you can also decide your own fees. And that is one of the reasons where deemed to be universities or autonomous colleges, their fees are high because they have full control over the fee processes. You can conduct your own exams. You may or may not be able to grant degrees. Okay, so if the degrees are given from some other institute, or you can give it. So it's an optional, okay? It's not that always deemed to be universities are able to give degrees. This depends on the repo of the institution as well as hierarchy. Now, private universities are ones which are UGC approved, okay? There is no doubt that all these are UGC approved. However, they do not run on state or central university funds. There are no funds that are coming from outside. Now, private universities can grant degrees, but there is no affiliation. Okay, like for example, if you have a state university, there could be colleges under it, and the degrees in colleges are given by the state university. That means the college is affiliated to the state university. When it comes to private universities, you cannot have colleges under it. So it's like a full autonomous existence. A private university usually has a president or a chairperson, unlike state or central universities who have chancellor or vice chancellor. Also, private universities need to adhere to UGC rules and regulations for its operation. They can have their own admission process, their own syllabus. You can conduct your own exams and also grant degrees to students. One of the example is Amity University. It's a private university. Moving on to autonomous college and institute. They have full control. As the name itself suggests, they have full control over all the processes, and they are operated under Department of Higher Education, MHRD. These colleges can conduct their own admission procedures and exams. However, at the end of the completion, they cannot issue their own degrees, okay? The final degree or diploma will be given by the affiliated university. Some of the autonomous institutes like IIMs and IITs, these are given the power to grant degrees, but they are not called as universities. That is one point that you might want to note. You can have your own admission procedure, can decide your own syllabus, and you can conduct your own exams. What would be the salary of an assistant professor? Before I tell you that, you need to understand the different levels. So the first level of the designation assistant professor is level 10. So it is called as academic level 10 assistant professor. The next stage of this would be academic level 11 assistant professor. So this would be a senior scale. What is the difference between the two? The difference is in experience, okay? Even if you are an assistant professor, you join at the same level, and your progression would depend based on your experience, your kind of publications, and all these things are clearly there in UGC guidelines. So I'm not going into the details of that. I can make a separate video on once you become an assistant professor, what happens and how your career graph will go. As far as this video is concerned, 10 and 11, these are the two levels at which recruitment of assistant professor happens. Then the last one would be associate professor level 13A to professor, academic level 14. So professor is the highest and it is at level 14. Why am I telling you all this? The reason behind this is depending on your level, your pay band, your salary, everything will differ, okay? Depending on your experience also it will differ, and depending on your level, your entry pay will be different. Entry pay is the amount that is given to that particular designation once you are recruited freshly. Now, moving on to salary. As per UGC 7 Pay Commission, they have designed a matrix and it is given for different levels. Okay, as you can see from this, there are different grade pays, and across the levels, the salary would be different. Okay, I will show you exactly how to calculate the salary, but for now you can just have a look at this. As the levels are progressing, the salary is changing, and there are 3 bands mentioned, which are pay band. Also, there is something called as entry pay. So entry pay is a fixed amount that you get as a part of your salary, which is fixed for a particular level. For example, at level 10, your entry pay or your entry pay amount would be 21,000 around. So this is something that you might want to take a note of. Now, when it comes to your salary, there are 3 components. First is basic pay. Basic pay is an amount which is fixed and it is not affected by any other allowances. Okay, grade pay is an amount which varies depending on employees' standing. Okay, now if you are a senior, then you will get a higher amount under this. If you are a junior, you will get a higher amount around this. Depending on your experience, it will differ. And then there is something called as DA, Dearness Allowance. Dearness Allowance is given by the state. Okay, so wherever you are, if it is a central university, then it will come from central funding. If it is a state university, it will be coming from state. Now, depending on what kind of state it is, the dearness allowance will differ. In Goa, it will differ. In Rajasthan, it will differ. In Punjab. So it is location dependent. All these 3 amounts will make your salary. Okay, now to better understand this, let's move to the screen and I will show you exactly how to calculate. Say for example that your basic pay range is 15,600 to 36,900. Now since you are joining fresh, you are being recruited freshly, let's say that your grade pay is 5,400. Okay, now you add both of this and you say that for your particular state, let's say suppose the dearness allowance is 25,000, then amount you get by adding all this is your salary. Okay, that would be your monthly salary and that you will get in your bank account every month. Now how things get advertised, okay? I will take you to screen and show you an exact recruitment notification and you will understand from there how your salary would be. The pay structure, as you can see over here, is academic pay level 12 for direct recruits. So the pay level 12 would be 1,01,500 to 1,67,000. So this is the range, okay? And here it would be fixed at cell number 1 at 1,01,500. Since this is assistant professor grade 1, your payment would start over here. Okay, now they have also advertised for grade 2 and the salaries are different. So when you see the recruitment notification itself, you can make out what is a cell. A cell is a structure, so it's like a unit which is there in 7 Pay Commission matrix of salary. Okay, the earlier image that I had floated, that one of that is called as a cell. Now that you have understood so many different things, where exactly do you find the vacancies? Okay, the first place that you need to look for are newspapers, and just bear with me. I know you are going to say that we are living in the digital age, then why are we shifting back? It is not shifting backwards, it is moving forward, and I'll tell you how. As per the government mandate, the vacancies have to be advertised in local newspapers before the recruitment happens. Okay, this is as per the guidelines, and all the links that I'm showing you over here will be there in the description, so you can actually have a look at the document and see for yourself. So do not sleep on newspapers and its search if you are looking for an assistant professor job. I have worked in 3 different places before joining for PhD in BITS, and let me tell you, all the 3 vacancies I got by seeing the advertisement in a newspaper rather than their official websites, because most of the times official websites, they are updated nowadays, but it is also possible that they are not updated. Okay, and whether you find the vacancy over there or no, you will definitely find it in local newspapers. Now, which kind of local or regional newspapers I'm talking about? See, if your target is a central university, then those notifications would go in newspapers which are circulating all India. Okay, if your target is a state-run university, like for example, I'm from Goa, I am in Goa right now as I'm filming this, and if my target is to get a job, an assistant professor job in Goa University, okay, or any of the affiliated colleges under Goa University, my target newspaper would be, here we have something called as the Navin Times. So on that, all the vacancies are coming as far as the recruitment happens. Now, which is the newspaper that will carry most of the adverts, that you have to decide and search as per your local region. Okay, if you are a local from there, then you will definitely know. If you are not a local, or if you are thinking of applying in a particular institute, you can just visit the office and ask them where they are advertising the post, and you will be sorted. So do not miss on this, and do not be under the impression that all the vacancies which are there in universities or in state-run colleges, it will only come on the official website. That is not the case always, and it is always better to know it from multiple sources. You are not losing anything, right? The next source that you can check for is these job portals which are there. Monster is there, Naukri is there, Indeed is there. These are the job portals that you can definitely approach. Also, LinkedIn is one of a great platform. I always feel that LinkedIn is an underrated platform in front of this Facebook, Twitter, this kind of platforms which are always buzzing. Assistant professor is a job which is really professional, and it has its own status. So it is unlikely that you will get such ads on Instagram or Facebook, but you may definitely get some context through LinkedIn rather than other portals. Also, if you're not aware of it, UGC has its own job portals where the vacancies are advertised, and I highly recommend that you register over here. The next option is employment news. So if the university is centrally funded, or even if it is not centrally funded, if it is like a private university, the posts are most likely advertised in employment news. There are offline as well as digital edition. So if you are starting your job search, my suggestion would be to sign up for a digital edition, so you will definitely get it in your mailbox. There is a subscription fee for this. Okay, so it's not free. However, the fee is really nominal, and if you are starting a job search in this direction, then it would really help you. Also, over the counters, offline also you can buy it as per the need analysis. That is also an option. Official websites of the particular college or university, that also helps. I have said you not to rely on this, but keeping a tab on this always helps. Okay. The last but not the least, on this channel, I know it is a shameless self-promotion, but still I will do it. On this channel, I post shorts. Okay, so these vacancies could be faculty vacancies. If you are not interested in faculty or academic position, then scientist position, junior research fellow, PhD positions. So on this channel, I post shorts twice a day at 8 o'clock in the morning and 6:30 p.m. in the evening. And these are all latest, fresh baked opportunities that I get for you. So do also keep a tab on this. Who knows, your next job may come from or short from this channel. Now that you have understood all these factors and you know exactly how to go about it, let's understand how this whole system works. So from the start of giving an advert to applying, what is the entire process, so you will get an idea of how to prepare, and after this I will tell you about eligibility. So first, let's start with, so the first stage is identification of vacancies. So depending on whether it is a contract post and the subjects, the vacancies are being identified. The next stage is permission for filling up vacancies. So the competent authorities will permit filling up of vacancies within 30 days from the date of sending the proposal by the HEI. The third stage is release of advertisement for vacancies. So advertisement of vacant post in national dailies, employment news and the institute website, and this has to happen within next 15 days. The fourth stage is constitution of selection committee as per the provisions made under the acts, and this will happen in the next 15 days that it is advertised. Fixing the dates of the selection committee meetings and confirmation from members for attending the selection process. The next stage is scrutiny of applications. So after floating the vacancies, whichever applications from you that they have received, they are going to go through that, and then it will move on to the next stage, that is conduct of interview and selection of candidates by the selection committee, and that will happen in next 30 days. And in the final stage, approval of competent authority will happen. Once the interview is conducted, based on the interview and your qualification, etc., the selection would happen, and then approval of statutory authority, and this will happen in the next 30 days. So that was the time frame, or you can say the system wherein it starts and it ends. Let's move on to the eligibility. Now, as far as the eligibility is concerned, the whole system is divided into two things. Okay, the first one is your regular subjects. When I say regular subjects, it means engineering, biotechnology, or subjects that you study. Okay, the second category is subjects like drama, arts, and some things which are related to the arts side, performing arts side, some form of skill-based subject. Okay, so for the second category, the guidelines are different. Okay, so if the net set is not conducted in those subjects, then you will not be required to clear any net set exam in that particular subjects. There was a recent notification by UGC. When I say recent, it was released a year back, but from there the entire game changed, because now minimum net or set is the criteria for recruitment of assistant professors, not PhD. You need a master's degree with minimum 55% of marks in the relevant subjects. Also having a net exam cleared by UGC or CSIR or SET, okay, SET or SLET, that also will do as a qualifying exam. Now, provisionally, if you are a candidate who has registered for PhD before 2009, okay, if your PhD admission was done before that, if you have cleared before that, then for you net or set won't be mandatory, provided your PhD was awarded in full time and your final viva was conducted on an open basis. 2 research papers from candidates and presentations in 2 conferences or work. These 4 criteria that I've mentioned are specifically for candidates who have done their PhD before 2009, and for you the entrance exam net set criteria is waived off. Recruitment criteria for colleges and universities, the recruitment of assistant professor is slightly different. Let's see what is the recruitment criteria for assistant professors in universities. So as you can see over here, from on graduation, if you have 80% and above, your score would be 50. If you have 60% to less than 80%, it is 13. Then for post-graduation, depending on marks and whether you have PhD, net with JRF or net or equivalent, depending on research publications and whether you have teaching or teaching or postdoctoral experience. Based on that, points are given. Okay, and this is the score by which you will be evaluated. Moving on to the criteria for shortlisting of candidates for interview in colleges. Depending on your graduation, post-graduation, MPhil, the criterias are slightly similar. The way the marks are allotted, that will be different depending on whether it is college or university. Moving on to interview preparation, there are few pointers that I need to tell you. First is, if you have done your PhD, then 90% of the questions that are asked in the interview are coming from your PhD topic. That is given that you take it from me. Okay, if you have not done PhD, if you have done any experience, if you have a teaching experience, then also you will be asked questions on that. If you have neither PhD nor an experience, then whatever project that you have done at master's level, that would be questioned. Also, one thing to note over here is the post for which you are applying. For, say, suppose I'm applying for a post of assistant professor in Goa University, just for example. Then in Goa University, what are the different subjects that are being taught, and if I get selected, at which level and with what syllabus I would be asked to work. Okay, so it is always better to take the syllabus and go through the syllabus in that particular institute, so that you get an idea of where the questions will come, apart from the three sources that I've just told you. When it is an interview, the questions could be asked from the personal front and the subject front. Now, all this while what I was speaking, I was telling you about subjects and technicalities. I have done a detailed video on 10 questions that are most commonly asked in interviews and how to answer it, what strategy to adopt. And if you follow that, then nothing and nobody can stop you from becoming assistant professor and get that dream job of yours. So I highly recommend it. If it's already published over here, then I will leave it in the end screen. If it's not, then just wait for a week and it will get published. Now you know the eligibility and different factors associated with it. You also know how to go about the interview preparation. For details, you can watch my previous video. Now, once you give the interview, how the results would be announced. So the results would be announced in a 7-point scale. Okay, so this is given by UGC. 7 points would be from outstanding to fail, and this is how the scale looks like. So after the interview, if everything goes well and you get outstanding, your grade point would be from 5.5 to 6, depending. The exact score would depend on the candidate. Okay, so I'm telling you the range over here, and percentage equivalent would be from 75 to 100. So whoever has got higher grade, they will get the preference. If, say, suppose if you check C grade, for C grade your grade points have to be 2.5 to 3.49, and if you fall in this bracket, then it is assumed that your percentage would be from 45 to 54. So it will depend from candidate to candidate what kind of bracket and what is the exact score. Your aim would be to get the highest score in the interview, so it will give you an edge over all the other candidates which are present over there, which have come for the same interview. When I was researching for this video, I was looking for resources, and everywhere I could see was just explanation of notification, like some vacancies there, they were explaining that, and there was no detailed video on this topic, which I found quite surprising considering the fact that every other person who is doing PhD or who has cleared NET or SET considers at least one option for becoming assistant professor. So it's like a dream job in our country, and there are really few resources around it. So if you are in academia or even in research, if you become assistant professor, your gateway to research are also opening. It's not that just we are in teaching and we can't do research, right? So everything is linked over here. Do share it with your friends and colleagues. Also do share it with the different stakeholders in academia as well as research, with your bosses, with your colleagues. If you have clicked on this video, then I know that you are thinking about becoming an assistant professor. At some or the other point, it is there in your heart, I know, and I wish you all the best. May you clear the interview with flying colors, and I'm looking forward to your comments. Till the next time, bye.